So I like to help people understand that our symptoms, things like pain, discomfort, and any other issues that we're dealing with, are simply our body's way to communicate with us. You know, your body doesn't have words. It can't say what's going on with it in the language of words. And so it only has things like pain and sensations and just things that sometimes we get really frustrated with. Those are our body's way of talking. And Western medicine really focuses on suppressing the symptom with medication without really taking time to find out its message. I don't really think I've ever encountered very many doctors who are curious about, like, why did this happen in the first place? What's the root cause of this particular issue? So when I was working on my book, I was doing a little bit of research of some statistics, and I found it really interesting that it was estimated that Americans spend over $34 billion on over-the-counter medications in 2016. And that's just over-the-counter medications, the things we take when we get a headache, a stomach ache, all of, you know, the minor symptoms, cold. And in 1999, it was estimated that we bought over 5 billion products that were over the counter. And then think about adding into that the amount of prescription medications. So we've really become conditioned to just take a pill and try and make the symptom go away, suppress it. You know, think about when you get something, even just as simple as a headache or an upset stomach, you probably are used to, unless you are really kind of focused on tuning into your body or using alternative treatments, you might just reach for something like a Tylenol and say, I don't want to deal with this headache. I want it to go away. Let me just take a pill. And that's just part of our Western society, how we've been conditioned. But what I like to ask people instead is, what if instead of trying to just suppress that symptom, we got curious about its meaning? So what I want to teach you is one of the techniques that I like to teach a lot of people, how to start to listen to your body. And this is kind of with a little bit of a caveat. Sometimes it's hard to get the message from our body. Sometimes we need somebody to kind of help us decode it. I certainly did with my knee. But this is a place where you can start. And this is also partly starting to establish a new relationship with your body, starting to really tune in. And you know, oftentimes when we're dealing with things like pain and illness, we get frustrated with our bodies. We get irritated, we get angry, and it's like, I just want these symptoms to go away. So this is partly also just building a new relationship with your body, where you can start to listen to it. So what I'd like you to do is just begin by, if you're comfortable, just closing your eyes and taking a couple deep breaths. And I'm going to just guide you through a little bit of a process. If you don't want to close your eyes, just bring your focus kind of more internally, and just bring your focus to a couple deep breaths. And the breath is just a great place to just start to kind of become present to your body. And as you begin to do that, we're just going to scan through the body right now. So some of you might already have an area that's just kind of screaming at you for attention, but if you don't, we're just going to go through this process of just kind of noticing from the head down, just like, is there anything you're aware of, sensation, pain in your head, in your face, into your jaw and your neck. You can tune into your shoulders, down into each arm, feeling into like the joints of the elbow, the wrist, into the fingers. And when you do this on your own, you can just make this as long or as short as you like, but we're just going to kind of do a fairly quick scan through the body. Then coming into your torso again, just kind of noticing your chest, the area around your lungs and your heart. Even your belly now, like where your digestive system is, your stomach, your lower abdomen, where all your intestines are. And then wrapping into the back side of the body, just noticing kind of between your shoulder blades is an area. Sometimes we feel things just through your whole spine, into the low back, into your hips and your glutes. I'm feeling now into the legs, the upper portion of the legs, your knees, down into your lower legs, your calves and your shins, into your ankles, and into your toes. So now that you've kind of done a quick little scan and taken stock throughout your body, I want you to pick one area that feels like either it's speaking to you the loudest through a sensation or a symptom, or you just feel kind of drawn to that area, like it wants to communicate with you. And so bring your attention to that area and begin just by asking the question, what is its message for you? And be mindful that if you've never done this before, sometimes the answer doesn't always pop right up. So you may just ask that question gently to yourself a couple times. You can even say the name of that area. Say, knee, what is your message for me? Or back, what is your message for me? And don't overthink it. Oftentimes, whatever first pops in to your head is actually the message. Sometimes we start to doubt it. We start to think, oh, is that really it? So just try and allow that message to come through. And then the second question that's great to ask that area is, what does it need from you? And that can be just simple things like maybe it needs you to move around a little bit more. You've been just too stationary, or maybe you're not drinking enough water. Just listen. Your body often wants to communicate with you. You just don't always give it the time and the space. So those are two questions that you can work with, and you can work with them anytime that you're having a sensation like pain or a symptom that's irritating and aggravating to you. Just using those questions to get curious.